Yo, what's up? Okay, so let me start this live over again because my prior live got offset by some bitch ass nigga. But fuck it, let's go on, right? So how MGTOW, SYSBM, and Passport Bros became SIMP coping mechanisms. MGTOW, SYSBM, and Passport Bros were initially philosophies that was created on social media, right? And it dealt with teaching males how to progress in different facets of life. I'll and or as far as MGTOW is concerned, was a way to try to place pressure upon the system that we live in to make things fairer, more fair and balanced for men, right? So let me start with MGTOW, right? What's going on? What's going on, guys? What's up? What's popping? Let me start with MGTOW. MGTOW is an acronym which stands for Men Going Their Own Way, MGTOW, right? And it was created, the main architect of the MGTOW philosophy was the great Barbarossa, and shout outs to him, right? Barbarossa was a content creator. I don't know if, well, a lot of people who are very familiar with MGTOW is familiar with Barbarossa, but some of the newer people probably just heard of Barbarossa or maybe never heard of him at all, whichever the case, right? Barbarossa at one point in time was a content creator on YouTube who was very popular when it comes to the men's rights activism, the MRAs, right? He was very popular amongst them. And he was part of that MRA movement. But then his thinking, shifted towards, at the time, something that was more extreme, which he believed would work, right? And he believed that if the male gender, right? What up, Third Ward? What up? He believed that if males all across the world, in the United States, all across the world, just did not participate in state sponsored marriage, didn't participate in these quote unquote traditional ideals that the world had a history of believing, right? They didn't engage in uh taking females out on dates. Thus, a lot of restaurants and a lot of all these other venues would lose money if males did not participate in modern marriage or modern state sponsored marriage. Therefore, a lot of companies who capitalize off of marriages wouldn't make as much money anymore. He and meanwhile, more and more people, more and more people would be single. Thus, there possibly would be less babies being made, possibly because, of course, we all know that a lot of out of wedlock children are happening. But even if males did not engage in that too, then it'll create a domino effect which will rip that. This is the main one of the main pillars of the MGTOW philosophy. That if this happened, if males did not participate in these things, it would create a domino effect that would ripple through all facets of this system, especially within the economy, which would then place people in power in a position to be desperate enough to be so desperate to say, oh, how can we change these things? What can we do to make males come back and participate in these things that benefits America or benefits the world, right? Then, according to the MGTOW philosophy, that would be when men would have the leverage to demand laws and policies which will be more balanced amongst the genders, right? Because those within the men's rights movement slash MGTOW. Because remember, the Barbarossa, who's the creator of MGTOW, used to be a member of the MRA, then converted to the philosophy that he created in MGTOW. They believe, it's believed that a lot society is not being fair and just to the male gender, right? Which there's a level of truth to that. So within what I just explained, which is one of the main pillars of the MGTOW philosophy that I just explained, it that would force society to then make laws more fair to the male gender, make laws that would bring more balance between the genders, right? According to this, to the MGTOW philosophy. Thus, basically, it was male centered, right? And also, the MGTOW philosophy also was supposed to be created also to let men know that you don't need female validation, that what you were taught, because let's keep it real, there is a certain segment of society that have conditioned males to really be simps, right? To really think that this female getting female validations is everything, right? So also the MGTOW philosophy initially wanted to let men know that you have to unlearn a lot of things that you was conditioned to believe, and understand that you have the right to be independent and be an independent thinker, be an independent man, and not get so pussy whipped. Therefore, that movement was centered around males. But what happened over time was that a lot of simps and weirdos infiltrated that segment or that community online, and basically utilized that movement to grift and complain about females, to grift and complain about how females are no good, how females do this, basically the same complaints that people within the manosphere would talk about when it comes to their complaint about females. How, females don't like you if you're not of a certain height. Females won't like you if you don't have a certain look. Females this, females that. So a philosophy that at one point was male centered over time became female centered because, like I said before, over the years, the weirdos and the simps infiltrated that sector, thus defiled the original principle of that philosophy. Because you see, once you took a philosophy that was focused on male independence, right? Male agency, and you shifted to then always complaining about females, you then make that philosophy centered around females. So over time, the MGTOW community, over time, turned into a community full of people crying about females. At one point, claiming that they're independent and that they have their agency from the female gender, but then turn around and cry about what females do in relationships, what females do in dating, and all this other bullshit. So it became female centered because it ended up becoming centered around complaining about females. Now let's get into the SYSBM philosophy, right? SYSBM is another acronym, which is spelled, SYSBM, of course, and the acronym stands for Save Yourself, Black Man. Some people would say it stands for Save Yourselves, Black Men, plurally, but most will say Save Yourself, Black Man, singularly, the singular thing, right? And one of the main architects of that philosophy is a content creator by the name of Mad Bus Driver X, right? And there are several other content creators who are credited with creating this philosophy, right? Or helping to build more on the philosophy. Another one by the name of Babatunde Umana, right? He's a he's another content creator, I think, who's from Great Britain. And there's a few others, but the main person, or the main person who is credited of being the founder of that philosophy, the main founder is Mad Bus Driver X. Now, yeah. He's from across the pond. Yeah. So SYSBM, that philosophy, based on how I interpret it, based on how I look at it, it's supposed to be another philosophy about male agency, about male independence, but it's also about how black males, specifically, right, should understand the environment and the society that they live in, and understand their position in that society, and do whatever it takes to place themselves in a winning position in every facet of life, and use the system that you live in to help you, to help place yourself in a winning position in every facet of life, whether it be you winning economically, whether it be socially, mentally, physically, spiritually, etc., right? Make sure that you progress in life. All right? Understand the world that you live in, and understand how to win in the world that you live in. Understand how to achieve things and um be accomplished in the world that you live in, and understand where that gets you. So it's so that philosophy initially was supposed to be about male progress, black male progress. And to me, in my personal opinion, one of the content creators who personify SYSBM in its most raw form is Man of Tomorrow, aka MOT. What he personifies and what he's talking about is SYSBM at its most raw form. But unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, over time, what happened was that a group of simps and weirdos infiltrated that sector of social media, or that community, and defiled the original principle of SYSBM, and into this turned it into a female based philosophy, where basically almost any black male would be considered a member of the SYSBM, or a follower of the SYSBM philosophy, if they're in an interracial relationship or marriage, in which in reality SYSBM is far deeper than that. All right. And like for example, you have those in the past who have professed to be believers of the SYSBM philosophy, and stated how the late Kobe Bryant was a follower of that same philosophy, or because he was in an interracial marriage with a Hispanic female. And there was another time, right, where I personally witnessed a live stream where those who claim to be members of that philosophy ask another content creator who's a black male, is he attracted or does he date Caucasian females? When that black male answered yes, they then said that he was SYSBM because he dates Caucasian females. So once again, when you say that, when you, and even there's even more examples of that. I just gave you two, but there's more examples of this, right? Of this, of giving this belief that all you have to do is date interracially, therefore you SYSBM. When you make these statements, what you're doing to the philosophy is that now you're no longer you're no longer centering or revolving that philosophy around males or the black male. You're revolving that philosophy around the female. And basically what you're saying is that you what makes you SYSBM is based upon the female that you date. So it become a female-based philosophy, which initially it was male-based. You know, people misunderstand what SYSBM was supposed to be, really due to this whole, and think that dating interracially or dating a foreign female makes you SYSBM. See, because part of the SYSBM philosophy is, once again, is well, the main pillar is for black males to place themselves in a position of progress in every facet of life, and even when it comes to relationships, right? And one of the ways to have a progression relationships or to find someone who's of the same level as you is that you might have to go in other environments and other places to find that said female as a black man, right? So you might meet someone who's of another race than you or of another ethnic group than you, but share the same values as you, that will make, or that would make, I wouldn't say that would make, a great addition to your life. And according to the SYSBM philosophy, is that, hey, if this person can be an addition to your happiness, if this person can be addition to your peace, if this person can be that support structure that would assist in your growth and development and your overall progress in life, then there's nothing wrong having relations to that person, regardless of skin color. But then it got misunderstood by thinking that, oh, it's just a philosophy that promotes interracial dating, right? And then what helped, what assisted or gave credence to that misunderstanding was, like I said, the weirdos and the fucking, let me see something. Was that the weirdos and the fucking simps infiltrated it and gave this false impression that, hey, if you date interracially, therefore you are SYSBM. I mean, it was even a time where I would watch live streams that consisted of people who profess to believe in the SYSBM philosophy, but then they're sitting there talking about interracial porn, interracial porn, you know, or this black male porn star having scenes with this other female porn star. And I was like, what the fuck does that have to do with the fucking philosophy, nigga? I mean, shit. Listen, whatever freaky shit you're into, listen, that to each his own, right? but keep that in the privacy of your own home. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm not here to bash anyone who's into a little porn. You know, listen, we're human, right? We're humans. And I'm sure that every single person have watched pornography. But what I'm saying is that there, there's a proper time and place to focus. Well, that's if you're into that, right? Everything have its time and place, right? And if you are creating a live stream on the internet and you are promoting a certain philosophy that's supposed to be around male progress, porn shouldn't have anything to do with it. Okay? Porn is some shit that you watch in your own, you into that in your own private time. You know, that shit, like I said, keep that shit in the privacy of your own home. You should not bring it into a discussion where it's supposed to be about black male progress. You know what I'm saying? Keep that freaky shit in the privacy of your own home. Keep that freaky shit in the privacy of your own bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Third Ward said, bruh, I remember that time period. That was a weird time in the space, especially what I saw on that Black Avenger website. Oh, man, don't shit. Dog. Don't hey, listen. Don't get us started with that Black Avenger website, man. That shit, that was a whole different level of weirdo shit. Wasn't they live streaming? You know what? I'm not even going to talk about a Black Avenger, Third War Columbia, but you're right though. You're right though, bro. You're right though. That Black Avenger website was, like I said, a different level of weird shit, man. Yo. But going back to what I was saying, right? So when you got people that who profess to be believers of the movement, but come online and start supposed to promote this philosophy. I said movement before, but philosophy would be a better word. So somebody's supposed to be a proponent to that philosophy, but then start talking about interracial porn. So what that means is that once again, you're revolving this philosophy around a piece of vagina, thus making the philosophy female centered. And understand this. This is what simps do. Simps censor things around the opposite gender. Because remember, a simp's life is centered around the female vagina. A simp's way of thinking is centered around a female. Everything that simps do centers around females. All right. Let me text this. All right, so yeah. And the thing is that simps have no integrity. Simps have no self-respect. Simps don't care about progressing. Simps don't care about growth. Simps don't care about forward movement. Simps don't care about having a moral fiber. Simps don't care about themselves. Simps only care about a female vagina and female validation. Thus, anywhere simps go to, they will ruin. If you create a community or a philosophy that revolves around growth, that revolves around just doing the right thing, that revolves around independent thinking, it just revolves around progression, right? If you let simps come into it, they'll fuck it up. and trying to find any way to make it about the female vagina. And that's what these online philosophies, that's what happened with these online philosophies. These online philosophies initially started being centered around male growth, male independence, male agency, but then converted into simps complaining. Same thing happened, or simps just doing this, they simp shit. It revolved around the female. Basically, what you see now with these philosophies, MGTOW, SYSBM, even the passport bro movement, is that the majority of the conversations currently within those who claim to be part of the movement is always about some fucking female. It's never revolved around what males are supposed to do to improve themselves, to improve their lives, to find true peace and happiness from within. Which is sad. That's exactly the true philosophy of these niggas. Suckers idolizing mediocre kitty cat. Okay? Same thing with the passport bro movement. Right? The passport initially. Okay, before I get to the passport bro simp movement, right? Let me tell you guys this. There's a guy named Charles Tyler, right? Unfortunately, he passed in 2018. Charles Tyler, you could say, is the father of the black travel space on the internet. The forefather of the black travel space on the internet. So when it comes to the idea of black males in America traveling overseas and even initially opening up their dating options to date or to even marry females from overseas, Charles Tyler was the founding father of bringing these ideas to black males on the internet, right? And like I said before, he passed away in 2018, and I'm sure homie is rolling over his grave when he's witnessing the mess and the dysfunction of the passport bro movement. It's a goddamn shame. He said it sounds zesty as fuck. Yo. Yeah. So, all right. So, and the reason why I brought up Charles Tyler, right, is because his intention, because around that time, you had a lot of black males on YouTube was talking about how black relationships, black relationships, and how black relationships and black females are just so fucked up, blah 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 blah, right? So Charles Tyler came with the idea that, hey, listen, why are so-called black males thinking as if their only dating options are a specific group of females in America when we have how many different countries all around the world that all have females that we can choose from? And not only that, he also believed in the idea of black men traveling and going outside of your environment. Because let's just keep it real. A large percentage of black males in America do not travel. Hell, a large portion of so-called black males, sadly, haven't even left their local city or area that they live in. Right? And what that does, when you never leave your local area, especially if you grew up in the inner city, right? And you're so used to a certain way that your environment is within the inner city, you never traveled outside of that city, right? A lot of times your way of thinking, your perception is very limited because you'll only see and expose to like this inner city ghetto life, and you don't see anything outside of that. So your thinking, your viewpoint in life is very limited. So when you travel, traveling expands your horizons. When you expose yourself to different cultures and different and different environments, something happens to you from within. You realize basically your level of possibilities is becomes endless, or it at least extends. You know, you then come across so many different people, and you realize how big the world is. Then you realize that there's more to the world than what you thought. Than what you thought, because once again, a lot of people who grew up within the inner city, a lot of them, especially if you grew up in the inner city and never traveled outside of that city that you live in, a lot of times people don't really have a level of hope. They don't see a positive future. They don't see a positive outlook. But then when you explore the world, you have a more positive outlook because you see more things. It's good for the mind. And Charles Tyler would talk about that, right? He would get deep into that. It was to a point that before Charles Tyler passed away, he was about to become an expat and was talking about how more and more brothers in America should become expats. But unfortunately, like I said, he lost his life. He passed away, you know, while he was in Brazil. He passed away, unfortunately, you know. But like I said before, if he sees the type of nonsense going on with the black travel space, especially with the passport bro movement today, he'd be rolling over in his grave, boy, because the passport bro movement have totally defiled what Charles Tyler left behind. Because the black travel space was supposed to be about basically males fulfilling their love of exploration, males expanding their horizons, because that's what traveling does, males expanding their way of thinking. Once again, male progression. And the passport bro movement, in which I initially thought was founded upon these principles, and even pretended to act upon these principles, when later, as time passed by, you saw what it really was about. Because time passed by and more weirdos and simps infiltrated that sector of social media, right? And infiltrated that sector of social media, or infiltrated that online community. The conversations started to become about traveling for pussy. You know, traveling just to meet a third world fucking prostitute. You know, going to countries like DR, Dominican Republic, Brazil, Colombia, or Thailand, or now even Philippines and Kenya, just to have sex with a $40 prostitute. Like, what type of stupid shit is that? You mean to tell me you're gonna try you your only reason or your main reason for traveling halfway around the world is to motherfucking fuck some $20 prostitute? Now don't get it twisted. To each his own. People could do what the fuck they want to do, right? And listen, I'm not saying that if a male travels, that he should not speak to any females at all. I'm not stupid. If you're a heterosexual male, wherever you go to, whether you're traveling domestically or overseas, you may come across someone of the opposite gender that you might like, and that might like you back. And you might, have conversations with them, and one thing leads to another, and boom, whatever, right? So I'm not saying that males should not speak to females or anything like that. But females should not be the end all be all to why people are traveling. And I'm saying that to say this: the passport bro movement have made pussy the end all be all to why these niggas want to travel. Right? They don't want to travel for, to fulfill their love. These people within the passport bro movement don't want to travel to fulfill their love of exploration, to expand their horizons, all that other shit. They want to just travel just for females, which is why, like I said, the only destinations that most of these motherfuckers been to is Dominican Republic, Brazil, Colombia, Thailand, Philippines, and Kenya. All are motherfucking uh um sex tourist spots, prostitution hubs. And most of these passport bros, when they go to Dominican Republic, the only part of DR that they've been to or that they go to is Puerto Playa or Sosua, which at one point in time was a major prostitution hub in Dominican Republic. At one point in time, it was nothing but damn prostitutes, Dominican prostitutes, walking up and down Sosua. And that's what these passport bros went there for. Same thing when it comes to Brazil. The only part of Brazil that the majority of passport bros go to when they visit there is Rio de Janeiro, which has a big prostitution hub over here. Same thing with Colombia. Same thing with Thailand, right? When a lot of these passport bros go to Thailand, they go to Game Changer says so. Yeah, but you're actually defiling, or yeah, you are defiling, but also you're then making traveling revolving around a female instead of revolving around you as a man. Instead of revolving traveling around expanding your horizons, all right, fulfilling your love of exploration, you're revolving it around a female. Now, once again, I'm not saying for males who travel to not speak to females at all, but don't make females the end all be all to why you're traveling. When you do that, now, and you're when you do that, and you're holding on or claiming the name of a passport bro, or claiming to be a follower of the philosophy called the passport bro, or a movement called the passport bro, and you're revolving it around flying overseas just for some pussy, now you're basing this movement around a female instead of males. You're revolving around pussy. It becomes female censored now, not male censored. And once again, simps censor things around females. Simp censors everything around females. They don't center things around themselves. Yo, Game Changer, yo, dog. Let me finish making my point, right? That's what happens. So these movements, these ideologies that was at one point male censored became female censored due to simps and weirdos infiltrating these segments of social media and totally defiling the initial goal and motives of these philosophies. They became simp coping mechanisms. All right? Simp coping mechanisms. Simps coming into these movements and shifting the conversation around a piece of pussy. SIMP coping mechanisms. So these ideologies are no longer focused on the growth and development of males. They're just focused on either complaining about females or traveling just for you could get sexual intercourse from females and all that, or turning away from having agency or talking about and promoting agency and independent thinking and just complain about females. These ideologies / movements, just like the manosphere, were all about females, 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 females. What up, MOT?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
What's up?
Yeah, like with every other movement, right?
Yeah,
It went from problem solving, which was easy. The problem solving was easy.
yeah,
The problem was the inventory that they wanted access to. Okay, and then it went from problem solving to dumb nigga hangout. Let's hang out. Let's go trauma bond. Let's go look up bitches misbehaving all over the planet that is not native to where the fuck you are, and complain about them. Every fucking movement turns into that. Why? Everybody wants to like when it became to numbers. Let's push these numbers of individuals. Like, dude, these people that come here for problem solving, man. They came here to listen to complaints about women and then not go actually go update the actual database and go do shit with it's kind of like a hard drive that can't save any more information. no, no, you don't want to delete anything, and you don't want to actually move toward a solution. So now there's like a meandering river, like a river that goes now the river's off in 500 different directions, and now that the river is going to dry up, and it's like every movement turns into this because it comes into information sharing to dumb nigga home and beacon, and once the dumb nigga home and beacon is there, and then now everybody wants to decompress and hang out and all this shit because there are no clubs anymore. And this is people's social life. It's hanging out online, and then you have the people who structure these bullshit arguments to keep these dudes not finding solutions, and that's what it is. And these dudes want to stay in that kind of sunken place. Like they don't want to move,
uh,
right?
so okay, so MOT. So
Yeah,
being that you said that, right? My
yeah,
question to you is this: It is, do you believe that with a lot of these people in these spaces, that there's a fear of problem solving? There's a fear of finding the solution?
yes. Yeah, because if you solve the solution, like to me, truth be told, I would never accept a woman that's left over in this environment at this point. There's no fucking way I would even trust my finances, my future, anything to what's left in the environment. Because I graduated in the 90s and I went overseas. I seen what these women were doing when I was overseas, when they were being replaced. They clearly didn't care. They had another batch of new, unadulterated or uninitiated simps who wanted to come out, take them out, and be used and abused next week because they thought that they were just going to power through their use and abuse in order to get somewhere. And some of them did. And some of them did create kids that they're now complaining about, but the situation was still theirs to avoid. But at this point, there's no more conversation that needs to be had or said about what is actually going on in this environment. These people do not want to solve problems because there's no more talk that needs to be had about searching the internet for a woman that gets it. I hate those fucking videos. Oh, I'm so single. I'm so alone. Black men, we love you. I would twist the neck off a woman in a real life who would ever come to me saying some shit like that. I would never accept that. At this point, you have sociopaths who want to structure these conversations for very stupid fucking men who can't problem solve. And these dudes have all the money in the world because
Yeah.
they're not engaging with the actual women.
Hold
So
on,
that's where we
MOT.
at.
Hold on, MOT. Sorry, MOT, but I want you to land the plane because Game Changer arrived, and
Oh
I
no no
know
oh no
he
no no
has
no
some stuff.
oh no no GC here, man. Let them have it. Let them have it.
All right, go ahead. All right, what's up, GC? What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Wacky?
What's up? What's up?
Always good to catch your show live. Yeah, so I want to say about the passport bro thing that you were mentioning a moment ago. I agree to an extent what you were saying as far as it's a bad look from the purview of the foreigner when men are going to certain concentrated areas with the sole purpose of copulation or whatnot, or coitus, whatever you want to call it, to be YouTube safe. I get that aspect. I wouldn't necessarily classify that as simping. And also, I do believe that doing that, even though it's not ideal, it does allow them to simp less when they're in the States. Once a man understands that there's alternative source to what a man wants, he's no longer begging Keisha, which is the true simping. He's no longer pandering to, single mothers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for basic access. They no longer have the monopoly and control because there's another source. Once this man has become aware of that, he becomes less of a simp, at least here in the States, than he is abroad. That's what I was saying in the chat room.
All right, so with your initial statement, right? When you say you agree that males traveling for copulation is not a good look to the eyes of the foreigner, that was never my position. Because I'm not speaking from the eyes of a foreigner, So
right.
I'm speaking just from the
when
eyes
I say
of
I agree.
Okay.
My bad. When I say
Okay.
I agree, I'm talking about it's a bad look. I agree with that part. Now you're saying it's a bad look for other brothers domestically.
I'm saying it's no. What I'm saying is not even how it's look. It's like traveling, making a female vagina the end all be all to traveling. Actually, or forming this philosophy, right? And you have people who have turned traveling into just let's go do it for making, like I said before, making vagina the end all be all to traveling. It's just that, like I said, you're no different from a simp when you do that. And it doesn't matter if you're simping in the United States or simping someplace else. A simp is a simp wherever you go to. I'm just saying that you're adopting the same mentality of a simp because a simp, their mindset revolves around a female vagina. So you're adopting this. What makes the difference between a guy who traveling around a female vagina and a simp who revolve around a female vagina? You're doing the same thing. And as you see overseas, these guys in America who go overseas, they doing the simping overseas. These motherfuckers are just giving their damn bank account to these broads, So, I mean, and Game Changer, I'm going to give you the mic, right? You saying that simping for Keisha or begging for, access from Keisha's the ultimate simping, right?
Mm-hmm.
But listen, it doesn't matter whether this person is a Keisha or a so-called black female in America or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
If a male compromises their own integrity and self-respect just for access to a female, regardless of the race or ethnic background of the female, that's simping. But go ahead, you got it, brother.
I don't look at simply paying for something as compromising your self-respect. I think that it's a basic commerce when you boil it down to everything. And I don't think that you're disrespecting yourself for engaging in commerce. She has a service and you're paying for said service. And therefore, there's no simping involved. There's no begging involved either. You're just saying, this is what I want and this is what I'm willing to pay for it. I see no difference than, a person doing that, or traveling to Russia for a Fabergé egg, or traveling, to climb Mount Everest or something like that. If you have a single purpose, even if that purpose is, let's just say gratification, that's why you choose to travel. I don't see why we or anyone should judge someone for that reason.
But I'm not saying that paying for something is simping. Paying for sex in itself is simping. But I'm saying traveling, a person going halfway around the world just for that's and actually then creating an entire online community where a large portion of that community are traveling just for that. Once again, you're just adopting the same way of thinking of a simp, in which you're revolving things around a female vagina. I just don't think a female vagina is that worthy so you could just go halfway around the world just for that. I'm not saying to not meet. Remember, I made a disclaimer in my in this video earlier in this video, where of course I'm not expecting males to not speak to females at all when they travel. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't make that the end all be all to travel. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I don't know, because I don't think that for anyone it's 100% of anything. However, I don't know how high of a percentage, what portion of the travel experience is food and what portion is, let's just say clams. I really don't know. And quite frankly, I don't care, because what a major concern, and this is what leads to the simp epidemic here, is that they control the market of that particular good. There has to be an alternative. Like, we see what happens when a single entity, a single enterprise controls or has a monopoly over a resource. That's why wherever you live, gas prices here is near $6. I don't know what it is where you are, but it's what happens when a single source monopolizes control over a resource, and then they choose to deny the world that resource. So once society has found an alternative, I say go for it.
Okay, so you're talking about how, so basically what you're saying is that there are males who are being denied access from females in America, therefore they're going overseas and getting that access.
Well, maybe. Well, let's be clear. Let's be clear. There's hasn't always been a certain group of men that has been denied access. However, there are men who have been granted limited access or poor quality access, and they want to travel to increase the quality of access that they have. Nevertheless, it's their prerogative, and those and people need to realize domestically, they need to realize that there are alternative sources.
And the thing is, once again, I'm not against choosing quote unquote alternatives, because the world is a big place. And like I said before in this live stream, because Charles Tyler, who I say is like the godfather of introducing the idea of traveling to black males onto YouTube, he speaks about not limiting your dating options just in one environment. You could go all over the world. So I'm not against that. I was never against that. Once again, what I'm speaking about, right? What I'm against when it comes to this passport bro movement is this idea, and Game Changer, you've seen it on other panels. Me and you have been on other panels in these passport bro spaces, right? So where these dudes are just making a female's vagina the one and only mission for traveling, which is why these 5 to 6 countries are really the most popular destinations for passport bros, which is Dominican Republic, Brazil, Colombia, Thailand, now Philippines and Kenya. I know you're not into Kenya, but it's a growing Kenya is growing in popularity within the passport bro space. Why? Because of the dang you know, the 304s or the mangoes that they call it.
Mm-hmm.
But this the thing. When you go into these spaces, when these people speak about traveling, they only speak about the mangoes. If they're not talking about meeting each other for a fight, you know this.
Well, yeah,
That's
I
what
know.
I'm against. Don't make
I
that
know.
don't make that the main priority to traveling. That's all, man. Go ahead.
Why? Okay. Here's one thing. Let me start with this. In my travels, what I notice is that any place that men, that American men, Western men, travel in bulk becomes a destitute destination. Kind of like Kenya, for example, which you say is up and coming. Once women, poor women, realize that, hey, a lot of Americans or a lot of British people or a lot of Russians, like to travel to this spot, then the women are going to come. Like, and that's anywhere. That's even here in the States. Like, wealthy men go to Vegas, and then industry develops around that. So that's something that's unavoidable. If men once went to Sasua or something like that for the beach, the women come for the men, and then it turns into that. That's just the way the economy works. That's the way it levels out itself.
But come on, game changer. Hold on. Sorry to interrupt. Let's just keep it real. These guys are going to these places. These guys within the passport bro movement are going to these places because of the prostitutes there.
Yeah, I mean,
and they're making that. And my thing is, it's to each his own, but they're making that the end or be all to why they want to travel to these destinations. And once again, what I'm saying is this: if you want to do that, that's okay. But once again, when you revolve traveling around a piece of vagina, what makes you any different from the average simp who evolve things around vagina? That's all I'm saying.
Okay, great. I'll answer that question. The thing that makes you different is you're not degrading yourself. You're not for it. You're not begging for it. You're not making over compromised deals for it. At least I like to think that you're not. And by over compromised deal, I mean that, you're a guy who is, handsome, in shape, and no kids, and you get with a woman with 4 kids who is out of shape and she's not too pretty.
That's going on a lot of times. If you want to base
that's going on. That's going on.
That's going on a lot of with a lot of these passport bro guys. If you want to consider that simping, that's going on a lot.
I would consider that simping. I would consider that simping, foreign or domestic. So, but that is the behavior that I would address, not the travel for whatever reason a man chooses and wants to travel. I don't feel that a man should be judged for wanting to like if a person was to go to a store that specializes in a particular item, like if they were to go to a video games, if they were to go to GameStop, one could say you shouldn't. Your whole purpose of going to GameStop is to buy games. That's so. I mean, yes, they could go to Walmart and buy other things just to say, hey, I'm here to get some cake mix and a chair too, but if that's what they want to do, then that's what they want to do.
But I'm going to give men some other microphone, but game changer, with all due respect, I think that's a terrible comparison. You're comparing someone shopping at GameStop to someone who's traveling halfway around the world just for a piece of vagina that 1,000 other motherfuckers just hit, for $20 and shit. Come on. To me, that's not a good comparison. But I give men some more the mic, man.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, but there's a great conflation that's going on here. We're actually conflating a couple things. Like when dudes complain about, well, what they're doing is when there's because in Black America, because there's a conversation that needs to happen before the passport conversation happens. Men and women here, hip hop community in specific, have been humiliating the hell out of these dudes who can't get with these renters here in the States. So all this complaint about dudes traveling places Dudes have created their whole social life around going to clubs and popping bottles and doing all this other stuff. Now that type of domestic sexual only travel, from house to car to club, that's okay because they wanted to actually put it in people's faces that having access to sex is something that's actually good. I have access, you don't. That's been what's been put in people's faces here in the States. All right. So then you have people who are traveling who are pulling up, putting pictures online about them being with women. That is the actual opposite of what people were doing here online. And the women are stuck in the middle. The women, I don't think, is of value, right? So you have people who went overseas to go get similar experiences and put pictures online. That humiliates the women here in the United States, and it humiliates the actual dudes in the United States because they thought sexual access was something that was quote unquote just meant for them. So now when these people go traveling, now they're putting that stuff online, they're making their whole social careers out of it. People are mad when people go do that, but people were okay with hip hop being actually, built on sexual access or not, and losing to the woman and complaining about it subsequently when you shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place. That's another conversation that we're not even having because we're too busy trying to get dudes to suppress what they have access to when they go places. So it's like you're gonna have to take that TLC no scrub stuff and all that Beyonce music off the shelf before you ask these dudes not to go online and form social media accounts based on doing the same stuff that hip hop has been routinely doing to these actual people in this environment. So we have this domestic simping going on here, where there's nothing wrong with dudes here by going somewhere else because this is a sexual access thing. Because if it was a cultural experience, it would be different. But they didn't go for cultural experiences in the United States either. They didn't do that. They did it to put it in people's faces because that's what they wanted to do.
No,
So
you're
that's the
correct on that.
actual. But that's the
Very good
argument
point,
that
MOT, because
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, GC.
you got it, bro.
No, I'm just
Okay.
saying that
No, I
that's
was
the
just saying, very
conversation
good
that
point.
go. Okay, so that's the
Hold on.
conversation.
Yeah.
All right, all
Go,
right.
go ahead. Finish up MOT and
Okay,
land the plane and then let game changer speak afterwards. Yeah.
yeah. So that's why I disagree with. That's why I disagree with people forgetting about that portion of it. To me, it don't matter. I want these dudes to get the experience, whether they have to pay for it or whether they have to earn it, because once you get the actual experience, you tend to learn that this stuff is not that important, and then you move on to more productive things and actually more quality women after you have your piece of this. Because the people who went to clubs in the United States, who failed at it and whatnot, they didn't have any problems paying child support and complaining about that. I don't have any problem with dudes traveling overseas and putting it in these people's faces too, because you should have never did it to these people. You built up an actual uh, return system that was going to happen when you lock people out. That's all that I'm saying. Thank you.
No, thank you, MOT, for bringing up that particular aspect of it, and you really kind of put in perspective what I want to say. So yes, the promotion of it, I disagree with, and as I mentioned before, it does hype up the value overseas, to these local women. So I definitely feel that it's something that you shouldn't be advertising in mass. I don't know if the Passport Bros are really doing that. I mean, I know that they advertise the concept of travel in mass. I don't know if they are advertising the concept of solicitation or pay for play in mass. That's something I haven't seen yet, but there are. I'm not really versed in what the community is doing. Nevertheless, why would you hype up a market that's not yours? The distribution of gratification as it pertains to men is not a man's market. It's not a heterosexual man's market. Therefore, why would you hype up anything? Like, it's kind of like those rappers who come up with the songs, and then they give shout outs to people who are not sponsoring them, Trick Daddy, who wear more polo gear to me. Listen, if they're not paying you, then don't advertise. And so I do agree with the concept of stop overhyping these places, that it's not benefiting you to overhype. And MOT brought up that, Black men in the community has been overhyping, the box for quite some time. And, it is a main contributor to this simpish behavior that Black men now possess, to this overcompromised behavior that Black men now possess. We have a lot of Black men in our community who get with extraordinarily low quality women and then brag about the fact that they're getting box from these low quality women. This is where this behavior leads. Now, if you feel that passport bros are heading down that direction, then I would say yes, absolutely. They need to stop that particular behavior. However, if they choose to P for P, I don't really see that leading to what MOT was talking about.
Well, what I'm really saying is that if we're going to talk about males traveling, right? Keep it centered around males. Keep that movement philosophy centered around males exploring their horizons on all facets when it comes to traveling. Males exploring or expanding their possibilities, expanding the way of thinking, because there's so much things that you can benefit from when you travel, right? So much things, and males have to have this. Males need to have this thinking and understanding where that there's, of course, this is common sense, but unfortunately, in these spaces, it's not. Where, of course, there's way more important things than just some goddamn box. Now, I get it. We're heterosexual males. We love females, of course, right? But it seems like, especially so-called Black males, well, based on what Mayor Tamar was saying, how how hip hop overhyped sex and over-sexualized everything, that made box basically the most important thing in a male's mind, and it destroys them. And I'm seeing this passport bro movement already headed this direction, right? And I love what MOT brought up, right? When he was speaking, and he said something to the nature of, that he doesn't have a problem with males going overseas and doing what they do, because once they get that out the way, they realize that box is not that important. Well, the thing is, unfortunately, within the current state of the passport bro movement, that's not what's happening. What's happening is that these people are going overseas, doing whatever, sowing the royal oats, and they're sitting there fighting over these prostitutes overseas. There's a lot of videos with people in Medellin, Colombia, at all places, fighting clubs over females and ex-mex workers. And, you have this big phenomenon in Thailand where males, because they got a little hit of that box over there, they're buying all out condominiums to these females over there and getting straight up played by these females, dog. You got guys that spend their whole life savings on these females out there and end up homeless in Thailand. All for the love of traveling overseas and getting some box. So it's like this SIMP mindset that males have in America, they bringing it overseas. And
I agree, and that's a problem. But I would attack.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would attack the SIMP mindset. Okay, thank you. I would attack the SIMP mindset versus the concept of travel, whether you're traveling to pay or not. Because yes, if you find yourself homeless in Thailand, then something else happened. It's not just because you're a person who likes to travel and pay for box. There's something else going on, and that's something that requires addressing. Not the concept of enjoying box while you travel.
Something. Okay, you make a good point. Of course, there are other factors that leads to that, right? But what I'm saying is that these outcomes stem from people making box the end all be all to traveling. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say. That these outcomes stem from box being the end all be all to why they're traveling. But of course, there's more factors, that's involved. Yes, of course.
Wacky, I'm just gonna say, I have to give a little pushback. When these
Go
people
ahead.
were going to clubs, box was the end all be all of everything. Nobody told them dudes to shut the hell up. Nobody did. Nobody ever did.
Oh no, no, it's just it's just as fucked up in the clubs. It's just as
Oh yeah.
fucked up as the clubs. I don't, I do not disagree with that at all. But go ahead, bro. You right.
I'm just saying, for me, and I've lived in countries that have legalized prostitution, and obviously places here that doesn't. In places that have legalized prostitution, I'm just going to say this so that way people know. The women are going to have to look a lot better on average in those countries. Because if you can just have Poober drop you off a dime on, on the pay, and you ain't got to hear all this mouth and all this kind of other stuff, and you can just get it out the way, then men move on to other things. In places that don't, the more homely women have more of an actual ability to actually have as much as they want, and the men don't have access to get as much as they want. So what I'm saying is, however these people get this experience, as long as they get it, and as long as they understand that this stuff is not worthy of the amount of tension that is being played around it, I'm okay with however they get it. Because once they start to understand, because like this is a cultural problem, a cultural American problem. Like if you go to places that have legalized prostitution, they think it's wild that people would even spend this much time talking about sexual activity. When you could just pay, get this stuff over with, move on to other stuff. And the thing is, in Black America, things are based on earn your piece, catch consequences, pretending like it's the best thing ever. I got some, you didn't. And until you kind of get rid of that system, I don't think you can get rid of the passport bro counter complaint on the same system that they're doing somewhere else. There's a cultural underpinning of two things that are happening that both sides of this argument is actually fighting, but nobody actually wants to talk about.
Okay, okay, okay. But there's another thing, right? Where I'm thinking that there's a misunderstanding with my position, right? Because I'm not, once again, I'm not against people traveling and getting that sort of experience. I stated that several times in this live stream, right before, when I was just on here by myself. What I'm against is just making that the main reason why to travel, because my mentality is that it's, the female box ain't worth that much. It's not. So to me, in my mind, it's strange for someone just to want to travel halfway around the world only for that. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying don't do this
And,
at all.
and Wacky Word O,
Yeah,
I agree with you. I
right.
think it's just as stupid to pay $900 for a plane ticket, maybe
Right.
$500 for a place to stay, off the same experience that you can have here with the same low quality women. But what I'm also saying is that if that person think it's a better way of doing it and having less consequences, you got to let them go do it, because we have an environment that was clearly based on access. And if you don't have access to what's here, you ain't a dude. And until you shut that down, because you have too many expired pimps and dinosaur max online who keep complaining, we're talking about people who don't have access to their kids. We're trying
Yeah.
to make it look like everything's okay here in the States. And it's like, if these dudes are, because the man and the woman here who's trapped here want sex to have consequences. They do want that. But when dudes are moving overseas in their own line and they're getting access to women without the consequences that the domestic dudes faced, which is a conversation nobody wants to have, they don't like that shit at all. At all.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I understand that. I understand that. But
Yeah.
I think that if you're going to go out there and do that and have as less consequences as possible, you have to actually get rid of that sit mentality.
Yeah.
And yes, man of tomorrow. If if anyone have watched my videos long enough, you know, goddamn well I'm against simping domestically, right? I'm against this culture domestically where people have been brainwashed that if you don't have access to these fucking low-hanging fruit bitches, excuse my language, over here, then you don't have nothing. I think that's bogus also. Because once again,
But that's what's
I,
perpetuated in Black America, though,
I
by the
know,
people
yeah,
who have stayed here.
and I'm definitely against that. I'm actually more against that than anything. You get what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
I'm
Oh yeah.
very against that. So when it comes to me, I'm against that also. But you know, when it comes to the topic of this video, that's I was just critiquing these different I didn't mention what you said, which you made a good point, but the reason why I didn't mention that is because the topic of this video was really me critiquing how these philosophies have converted over to be male from being male centered to female centered. That's really why I didn't really mention that, you know,
Yes,
even though
but
you made a very good point, you know.
well, but you know why that is, right? It's the only way that these dudes that don't have any experience can be part of this conversation.
Good.
Is that they have to turn this conversation into that to get all the numbers of people in there, whether they believe this or not. This is a purposeful
Mhm,
conversation that they're
mhm.
having to switch it to that for numbers. Like the SYSBM people,
Yeah,
because I'm actually part of the SYSBM group of actual people who actually push and promote it, but we don't consider like the TikTok, the Instagram,
yeah,
the dudes who quote unquote wanted to go pro over there and all that, do all that kind of stuff. Dude, like nobody. And look,
yeah,
they don't bring up our names, and we don't bring up their name. The only thing they're
yeah,
doing is using an acronym to make money off of. It's like
yeah.
when
That's
Austin did it.
yeah,
He didn't bring up certain people's names, and look, he's over there to do that. And look, it can't be the women because you've been traveling so long and you still ain't off the market. It wasn't the women in the first place.
right, right. And
At this point, yeah,
and MOT, I did credit you as being a person whose content really personify and teaches what it really is to be SYSBM.
oh yeah,
Because I believe that. I believe you and one other person, y- you really actually do personify what SYSBM is in its raw form. Okay? Because your content is really male censored and about
yeah.
male progression and winning every facet of life. Right? So, in my opinion, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, you know?
No,
Uh,
but that's why I intentionally left women off of my actual
yeah,
panels and didn't
yeah,
center the conversation around them because I
yeah,
wasn't trying to create better men for them to actually have access to when they're not doing shit with the men that they already have access to on the infinite dick tip.
right,
That's why I
exactly.
didn't center it around women. But
Right.
at the end of the day, a lot of people can't be a part of that conversation because it's too solution oriented and based.
Yeah,
They have
yeah,
to have a conversation that's kind of low enough and slow enough so that way they can jump on, get their shit off about this woman without getting their stuff together. And that's what the actual overall problem is that there is no pushing people towards solution while having these problems. And that's how come they end up in these spaces where they kind of vicariously living through the complaints of or the actual experience of XYZ person. And that's why I kind of leave myself out of those actual environments because I want people to make a conscious choice. I don't
yeah.
want to show them the difference. I want their value system to lead them to exactly where they need to be at.
But but um I'm gonna give Game Changer the mic. I know Game Changer has something to say, but that's one of my you made a main point when you talking about solutions, right? Because
Yeah.
these philosophies were supposed to be about solutions,
Yes.
solutions, right? And it got hijacked, man. And I don't like that shit. You know, that shit pissed me off, man, because the same thing happened with the manosphere.
We
Manosphere was
had
supposed to be
such
that
a good
solution,
upper hand for such a long ass time until
and
Kevin
it got
Samuels came around.
hijacked, man. But
Dude,
go ahead. Go ahead, please.
we had such a good kind of okay. If you go from the first time that 1.0 got doxxed till maybe a year before Kevin Samuels, that was the best part of the manosphere right there. It wasn't over inundated by fake street people. It wasn't inundated by, the newer, women who want to talk red pill talking points. There was just none of that shit going on. And if you were, you was mocked and humiliated for even taking your ass over there after the Kevin Samuels shit and everybody wanted to go pro and be, no be YouTube pro. It all changed. So everybody lost all their values as soon as they seen that they can make money off of it and try to live off of it. And look, that's okay. But at the end of the day, they know why they over there, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have any problem with them being over there doing that. It's just that and they want to
All right, 30 seconds.
deliberately
Almost.
pretend
30
like
seconds.
and they want to deliberately pretend like there wasn't a space that actually focus on solutions while they're over there paying attention to entertainers, which is, ugh, it really makes me angry. But that's all I got on that.
All right. Game changer, what you got to say? You got it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys were talking on subjects that I'm not really a part of, like SYSBM and all of that stuff. So, um, yeah, I don't really mind what Kevin Samuels by himself did. Maybe some of the aftermath of it, is very detrimental to what happened. But as far as what he was doing, um, I don't really see much wrong with that. The aftermath is something that he didn't really have control over. I do agree with what Kevin Samuels or what MOT was saying when he was talking about like the fake street dudes and people who became opportunists. I did see like a huge jump in that, and that did change the dynamic of Manosphere once Kevin Samuels made it clear that this is a seven-figure enterprise, that this can potentially be a seven-figure enterprise. It did like drown the voices of other people and kind of hyped up the space in a negative way. um, back to the passport bro situation. Wacky, I wanted to ask, what's the difference for you between a trick and a simp?
A trick and a simp.
Yeah.
A trick. A simp. Well, a simp. Well, like I said, a simp has no self-respect. A simp will place themselves in a position to be humiliated, right? In order for themselves to get access to a female. And not only that, a simp's mentality revolve around how to be validated by a female and will do anything and everything it takes to get access and validation to this female. They revolve everything around what females think of them, how females view them, what females see them, you know, and when they're going to get this access, when they get that access. A trick, a trick is just a guy who just want to get his rocks off and willing to pay.
So, would you classify the ones that you describe as people traveling overseas for access? Um, would you classify them as tricks or simps?
I'll
Because
say both. I'll
they
say
fit the
both.
definition of. Okay, so let's start with how are
All
they?
right, so hold on. Game changers, get to your
Well, let me
point,
just
bro.
ask this:
Get
how
to
are
your
they
point, bro.
humiliating themselves?
Oh,
Let's start there.
okay. Oh, let's go over there. Let's go over there.
Okay.
Do you see a lot of videos where guys in Colombia are sitting there fighting over sex workers, right? Smex workers. There are videos over there.
No,
Black
I mean,
males.
no, but I'm taking it that it exists because you brought it up. But I
Yeah.
haven't seen those videos.
Okay. And also, a lot of things that's going on with the passport bro movement in Thailand, where they're placing themselves in position to be played by these females. These guys are word in the street within the passport bro movement. These guys are sitting there giving not annual, excuse me, monthly salaries to bar girls. And you guys know what I mean by bar girls, right?
Yeah.
Just to be in a relationship with them. You're gonna be in a relationship with a bar girl? And this is what's going on. These guys are buying condominiums for Smex workers over there, placing them in places to live.
Mm-hmm.
You're humiliating yourself. Why would you do all that for someone who's going to be sleeping with so many males? And that's what they do for living. Don't you think don't you think that's a that's self-humiliating? You're gonna buy I think so, but go ahead.
I don't really think that that's a humiliation. I think that there are people who look down upon that, and to those people, he may be humiliating himself. But no, it seems like, and this has been offered to me when well, not really offered, but proposed to me when I was in the Philippines. I didn't really see anything wrong with the guys who did that. But I was in a bar and one of the waitresses explained to me exactly how it worked, how much the girls cost, some of the games that they played, et cetera, et cetera. And when I was made aware of that, she said that I could have any girl here except the mama san, and she mentioned another girl who I wasn't particularly attracted to. And I was like, well, why not her? And she said that because she's taken, meaning that someone is giving her a monthly allowance to, be her boyfriend or what have you. And I was like, oh, okay, that's something that this person is doing. I didn't think that the person who did it was humiliating himself. It seems like he just like, as opposed to paying for individual access, he paid for monthly access, and probably got like a discount on individual use in doing that. I don't think that falls under the, especially since I didn't see the guy, that really didn't fall under the category of humiliation. And also, by that logic that you were displaying, the owner of the bar, who are typically Australian, but they're Westerners, they're foreigners. I mean, they're really buying the bar for access as well. That place becomes their own personal harem. I don't really think that person is humiliating himself either. I mean,
So
I don't. But I mean, I don't really think, because just like you say that these guys shouldn't really worry about what women think. Women are going to think exactly what you think, especially domestic women. And the reason that they're going to think that is because they want to have control. They want to monopolize your penis.
so
So they'll say,
let me
you
stop
humiliate yourself over there so that you can humiliate yourself.
let me stop you from here. Let me
Okay.
Sorry about that. Let me cut in from here.
No, go for it.
Do you think someone having an quote unquote committed relationship with a SMEX worker is a form of humiliation in itself?
I don't know the nature of the relationship. What do you mean? I don't know if he's committed or anything.
No,
Like
because
in the instance that I told you,
it's a yes or no question. Do you think people having a quote unquote committed relationship with a SMEX worker, committed relationship, is a form of humiliation in itself?
no.
No? Well, I think so. I think if you're gonna say that you're in a committed relationship with this person who makes a living out of sleeping with so many different males, that itself is humiliation. You're putting yourself in the place of being humiliated because everybody done you done place yourself in a position where anybody could have your girl for a certain price. And this is what's going on a lot of times in Thailand. Okay.
Well,
Now,
yeah,
what
but
you're
pimps
talking,
do
what you're
actually done it,
what
right?
you're talking about, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm not
Well,
going
no,
against
no.
what you're talking about. But what I'm saying is that examples that what I have, what people are talking about within the passport bro sector, that people are having quote unquote committed relation. That's why I say quote unquote committed relationships with these types of people, right? That itself is a form of humiliation, in my personal opinion. You're want
Okay.
to have, go ahead.
Okay. So let's revisit the question that you asked, because I don't want people to take my answer out of context.
Right.
You were saying that a person in a committed relationship with a sex worker is that humiliation. I don't think that a pimp humiliates himself if his girl is on the street while he's waiting at home collecting his money. I
That's
don't
not a
think
committed
that
relationship game changer. That's not a committed relationship game changer. A lot of times, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking
excuse
about.
me. If that's his only girl, then it is.
Usually
No. If that's his
in
only
the
girl,
pimp
that
and
is.
prostitute type of things,
Also,
that's not the only girl working for him. I'm not talking about that type of relationship, bro.
no. In the instant, but see, here's the thing. I wouldn't, if that were the case, I would not say that he's humiliating himself. Nor would I say a guy who is young and he works at Good Guys and his girl does OnlyFans, I wouldn't say that either. Now, in the situation that I described, she wasn't like the person, the waitress that told me about the situation that was going on there. She said that this girl is off limits because she has a sponsor. She didn't use those words. I am. So she's not even spreading it out there, at least not to me or anybody else who comes into that bar. She's not spreading it out there. He paid for her commitment. Um, and the bar seems to be enforcing that. So do I think that this guy is humiliating? So it's like, no, he's seen somebody. He said, "Oh, I like her. I want to be the only one in it. Here's money. Nobody else touch it but me." And if she wants to, go around and get drinks and dance in her panties and stuff, I don't really care.
But okay,
I don't really think that guy is humiliating himself. I mean,
so what I'm saying is that, like I said, based on that story you're talking about, like I said, I don't have any. Listen, I don't know. I don't have any information in that story. I don't know. So I'm not going against that story. But what I'm saying is that there are other examples where that is not the case, where people are putting someone, a SMEX worker, on salary, but that SMEX worker is still messing around with all these other dudes, right? That is a form itself, in my personal opinion, of humiliation. You're a male putting yourself in a position of humiliating yourself because you're sitting there.
Well,
you're literally taking care of a person who is sleeping around with all these different individuals.
Okay, I mean, in that particular, very custom situation, I would probably say if he don't know that that's what's happening, then she is humiliating him privately. If he knows and he's continuing to do that, then he is humiliating himself, especially if he broadcasts such behavior.
Yes, I draw the line at the broadcast.
Yeah.
I mean, and here's another thing that a point that we also need to make. I think staying your ass in the black community, you're doing exactly what these dudes are going overseas are doing, like restricting yourself to OnlyFans adjacent and Cash App, Good Morning Boo adjacent women. I think you're doing the same level of humiliation.
Correct.
By staying in the black community.
Correct.
At this point.
Correct.
I wholly think.
With that. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not disagreeing with that at all, but go ahead. You got it. Go ahead.
I think when most of these women, tits out and lipstick on, talking about relationship, I think if you jump on that panel and try to pretend like shit's okay, I think that's a humiliation ritual. And most of them are married, stuck here ninjas, and they don't want people to have the actual ability to go have sexual relations without the consequence of trying to move it into their house when you know that this is a sex worker adjacent environment. I mean, that's a different conversation that I want to have with GC on this panel, but we have to kind of bring that in because there's a lot of humiliation that's going on for even staying here and pretending like things okay.
I agree, but that's a different conversation. But it's true because that listen, there's such thing as sipping in America, of course, and there's such thing as sipping overseas, yes, because it doesn't matter about the location or the type or the skin color or ethnicity of females that you humiliate yourself for. It's based upon the situation at hand.
When money is involved, when money is involved, it's less of a when money is involved, it's less of a humiliation, more for the reason that a simp would humiliate himself. When money is involved, it's really like you're a bad businessman type humiliation. Like you've made this extraordinarily bad business decision thing. However, when guys here do it on the free, and they humiliate themselves, they monkey dance, they do whatever, they go teeth or whatever they want to do to peacock for the woman that they want. or they go off and fight some gorilla just for a chick that's sleeping on the floor.
Yeah. But
Like, I mean, that is a whole different thing. I mean, that is really, like, unquestionably simping.
it
The
is.
worst you can do when you're paying is make a bad business deal. Somebody who's paying $25, and getting what he wants for that $25. I wouldn't say that he's humiliating himself, but if somebody who's paying $25,000, I would say you
Yeah.
stupid.
I mean,
you humiliated yourself.
but of course, game changer, understand that I also gave a second definition of a simp. Someone who revolved things around a female vagina. I also consider that to be simping
Mhm.
also. And that's the way I view males who travel overseas with the primary goal of sexual access. Now, once again, right? I want people to understand. Let me give this disclaimer again. I'm not even against someone, paying for something. I'm not
Mhm.
even against that. Hell, I'm not even against someone going overseas and paying, right? But don't let that be your primary reason to go overseas. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I don't see a
That's all
person.
I'm saying.
I get you. I don't see a person who goes on vacation and enjoys, carnal activities while he's on that vacation, as centering his life around that.
Bruh, bruh,
I don't.
bruh, you've been on Razor Ray's panel, boy. You've been on Razor
Yeah, I have.
Razor's channel, boy. Dumb
I have.
niggas, you already know dumb niggas. The main thing that they're talking about when they talk about going to DR is it or Colombia is getting some mangoes. Okay,
Uh-huh.
let's keep that shit real. A
No,
lot of these
a
passport
vacation is a
spaces, no, man, nah, a lot.
no,
Come on,
no.
let's not front,
Understand,
bro.
a vacation
Let's
is a
not
small
front.
part. Well,
Go
a
ahead.
vacation is a small portion of a person's life. I mean, and if they want to spend their vacation having, orgies, and that's their vacation. I wouldn't say that they center their life around it. I do know people who center their life around it. Their life is in shambles, but that doesn't. That's just somebody on
A lot,
vacation.
dog. A lot of these people within that passport bro space center traveling around that and around that,
No,
around that.
centering
And one
travel.
and once again, I'm not saying to not get with females or to not do these things while traveling. Basically, like I think I gave this analogy before, right? It's like a pizza pie, right? You got different slices of pizza pie. That should be just one out of many slices of your pizza pie, right? But
Yeah.
you have people within the passport bro movement that makes that the entire pie. And to me, when you do that, once again, you're revolving traveling specifically around a female vagina, which is no different than a simp who evolve things around a female vagina. Once again, I come from the thinking that vagina ain't worth shit. Vagina ain't worth shit that's where I come from. Okay. And when you therefore, if you're going halfway around the world, right, and paying all this money for round trip plane tickets, go to a hotel stay just to get access to something that ain't worth shit, to me, I think there's something wrong with you. Now, is there something wrong with making that part of your vacation? No. But if you make that the NOB all your vacation, there's something wrong with you, bro.
Well, you said that they put it in the center of their life. A person's vacation is not their life; it's a small portion of it. So, if
But you
100%, well, right quick, if 100% of their vacation is revolved around that, yet 100% of their life is revolved around
bro,
whatever their life is revolved around,
game
and that, well, right quick, right quick, brother.
game changer, bro. Bro, come on, man, come on. You've been on Razor Race's panel,
I have,
dog.
yeah.
Come on, man. You know the way of thinking of these people in Razor Race's panel.
Have I had disagreements with people on Razor Ray's panel? Absolutely. Um, so, but once again, I don't feel that we should be part of the shame machine that benefits local women, against men who travel abroad for whatever reason that they choose to. I
I,
believe in male autonomy. I believe that men should do whatever the f they want to, and not really care about what haters and local free fellas have to say
okay,
about
but
it. and
Game
I
changer.
don't want to interfere with that process.
I'm not shaming anyone, and I'm not doing anything to benefit females over here. You know, but giving an
If they're
opinion.
shaming and you're joining the shame, then yeah, you are.
I'm joining the shame by saying that vagina ain't even worth shit. So if you're gonna go and travel halfway around the world and making your entire vacation over something that ain't worth shit, that means that I'm shaming. That means I'm shaming and I'm benefiting the females over here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nah. Because the moment I'm saying that vagina ain't worth shit, how does that benefit the females over here?
Because they know that it is. What you're doing is you're saying do not make that particular type of effort towards it. Women understand. Women understand that men are going to make an effort towards vagina. That's just the nature of being a woman. You understand that, and that's the nature of being a heterosexual man. They understand that. They also know that if you're not making that effort abroad, because men and women are shaming you from doing so, you're going to make that effort domestically.
But I never told. Okay, game changer. How many times have I said that I'm not against males going abroad and speaking to females? So I'm not against males.
However, if you are shaming,
what I'm saying, game changer, is that should not be the end all be all to traveling. That's all I'm saying.
And what I'm saying is, do what you like. I'm saying what Bobby Brown says. It's your prerogative. You could do what you want to do. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's your prerogative. But just because it's your prerogative doesn't remove the fact that if your prerogative is to make vagina the main priority to traveling, that you're traveling with the simp mentality.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. But Auntie's here. So I want to give Auntie the floor.
Yeah. I appreciate you, Wacky. What up? GC, MOT, what up? No, what I was gonna say, I don't even think it's just the simp mentality. I think it's the female mentality, to be honest. And I'm with Wacky on that. Like, there's nothing wrong with traveling. You know, see as much of the world as you can, become, you know, a well-rounded man, a more cultured man, learn some new languages, engage in some global economics, finance, you know, make some more connections, you know, all of that stuff, bro. Ain't nothing wrong with it. But when you're doing it just to get vagina, which every woman has one, like every woman on earth has one, that's a serious problem. Like that's a you problem, and you need to work on you. When you become that more well-rounded, more cultured, just the best version of yourself, as far as the effort that gets made to get vagina, start making efforts to get a hold of you. That's usually how it works. Once you work on yourself, in all of those different facets, and then women start coming and chasing you. But that's just what I would say with it. But I would also say that's more of the female mentality, when you're saying, oh, just do what you want, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Don't even think about what else can happen. Like, bro, these motherfuckers go over there, bro, ready to marry prostitutes, dog. You know what I'm saying? Coming back with STDs. You know what I'm saying? Getting their bank books hit, all types of different things, bro. These dudes
do the same shit here.
Huh?
No,
Yeah,
do the same shit here.
No, I agree. That's why I said if you're gonna be a trick over here, you're gonna be a trick over there. It's really no different. So if anything, you know what I'm saying, just work on yourself. But that whole just do what I want, to hell with the consequences, to hell with the repercussions, whatever. I'll just do what I want. That's that women mentality.
But people have done it over here.
Hold on, you're right. Let Game Changer respond.
No, I'm saying, Auntie, we shouldn't be a part of the consequence machine. Now, Auntie, stop me at any time. If I'm getting too personal. How much bread did you spend on Sexy Red?
I actually got it all back. I got it all back. Plus a rebate.
Hold on. No. We ain't talking about that girl, man. We ain't talking about.
Yeah, I prefer not to, but I bet it was less than what you paid for that stove. I bet it was less than what you paid for that stove.
All right, guys, chill. All right, man. All right, chill.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. We not. Nah, man.
A game changer. Could you have me on to specifically talk about the aspect of domestic simping by these dudes who don't want dudes to travel? Because that's a conversation that needs to be had, and people need to know how to have that conversation.
Yeah, yeah. You got my info. You got my info.
Okay.
So I just
All right.
so I'm
Now here's
okay.
what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm gonna say. And T, I won't bring up she who shall not be named again. You know, I'm gonna talk about my stove situation. I smashed a lot with the stove situation, a whole lot. There exists men domestically who are flying women in from the other side of the country. Now, these are men who are flying, who live on the East Coast, and they will fly a woman from the West Coast to meet them to not sleep with them. There are men who are cash apping women. They live in Florida. She lives in Detroit, and they're cash apping these women money to not sleep with them. That's happening a lot here in the US. I say if a man instead would like to travel abroad and sleep with abroad, he should not be judged the same as a man who is paying for not vagina. In America, I think that there's less, it's more to pay for not having vagina than it is to pay directly for it. There are guys who are going out on dates with these women who have no intention on sleeping with them, and they are breaking bread on these dates. And these same guys would say, "At least I didn't travel." That's ridiculous. Come on now. Let's look at it from a businessman perspective. Not even like a simp trick or whatnot. Just look at it from a businessman perspective. Instead of for buying the teddy bear at Dave and Buster's, you're actually playing skee ball and losing hundreds of dollars for that $20 teddy bear. Let's keep it a buck. We need to stop doing that.
Yeah. All right. Let me say something, and I'll give MOT the mic. Right. I mean, game changer. You're right. That's just as fuck. That's just as stupid for males to do something like that. So I'm in agreement with you. Yes, the type of simping that goes on domestically is just as stupid, if not even more stupid. So I'm not even saying that. Now, I just want you guys to understand that I don't co-sign domestic simping. I don't co-sign that shit. I don't co-sign any type of simping. You get what I'm saying? So I just want you. I just hope that you guys, whether you agree with my standpoint, but just understand where I'm coming from, whether you agree with it or not. I'm not against people going overseas and getting their rocks off. I'm not even against that. Just don't make that the main part or the only goal for traveling, because there's a multiplicity of things to do when traveling. That just should be just one out of the many things to do when traveling. That's all I'm saying. That's my standpoint. All right. But I'll give MOT the mic because I know MOT got something to say.
No, I mean it's just that there needs to be an expand. I don't look at it, and I'm purposefully doing this. Wacky word. Just full disclosure, I am purposely making this a not an either or, but a not only but also. Because it
Okay.
is a not only but also argument. I understand it is disingenuous at times. I understand it's not your point of view at times. But men need to know how to have this conversation from the not only but also perspective. Because the people who are against, not you, but the people who are against it are having a not only but also argument, and they're trying to coax people into having an either or argument so that way they can have an easier time arguing the issue. So I want to have people to be unabashedly about it. Tell them, so what, in a sex worker adjacent type of environment, I want every interaction to have vagina actually associated with it. I don't care if you have to pay for it. I want to bring the price down, because the moment men have the actual experience, they understand it's not worth anything. And I'm not trying to help people here domestically get more out of men. I'm trying to help them get less out of men. Period. And that's my point. That's not your point on the panel. I know that purposefully, but that's my position. And people need to understand how to have that argument, because there are so many men who have the argument from the standpoint of the woman and don't even try to attempt to do anything for the male side of the argument. So those are the real simps. The people who want you to overpay for the experience. I'm okay with the Six Flags of ass. I'm okay with the subscription service, but your ass better be hitting something with that subscription service. I'm not with the a la carte, cash app in the morning, paying for OnlyFans subscriptions. Hell no. That's way too far. That's way too much to be paying for the experience when it's not worth it
Agree.
for me.
So,
Okay, good
Auntie, let me
point.
just
Go ahead.
no, Auntie. I want to apologize again. Do not think I was coming at you with.
Nah, bro, you good. That came out on YouTube, so it's all good. If you bring it up, you bring it up.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I ain't taking it personal.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree with MOT. We're on the same page with this. Domestic simping is a far greater problem than a man just traveling to do whatever. I think that we as Black men, we really need to change our outlook and our value system. Sex, like to Wacky's point, sex is, box is something that has a greater perceived value than it has an actual value. But perceived value is value. Gold is only worth something because the world believes it's worth something. You can't make a building out of it. It doesn't really do much. It's a conductor, but it doesn't really do much as an element. So the only value that it has is that the world came together and agreed that this is a valuable thing. Same with box, so to speak. It has little value except for individual gratification. So, however, the world has come together and agreed that this is valuable. Now, how valuable depends on the value that men put on it. And the more that we keep doing like these OnlyFans things and these cash apping and stuff, the when you're overpaying for the possibility of it,
crazy talk.
Then it's ridiculous. Now, I mean, Shaka Nulu was in the chat room saying that was a smart deal, and I feel that it was a smart deal. I mean, I literally smashed her like anywhere between 70 to 120 times, and then
man, what the man? Right, damn, man. Like you can get that down to like singular pumps in actual sense. My man, GC.
Yeah,
shit, I'm here for getting value out of it.
This was like my second year going there. So like when I went there the first year, I kicked it with her and I didn't get her anything. When I went there the second year, I kicked it with her and I lived with her. I lived in her apartment. I saved money on a hotel.
What?
And I bought her so she could cook for me,
Man,
so, I mean,
come on, man.
Yeah, I don't. I like. Oh, go ahead. Finish. Go ahead.
This story getting better and better. Go ahead, man. Elaborate.
No. I mean, so like looking at it from a business perspective, I'm like, listen, I'm saving on, I'm saving on rent, or not rent, but I'm saving on hotel fees. I'm saving on food because she's cooking and we're not like going out all the time and stuff like that. I mean, to me, if you're gonna do it, and I guess that's what y'all saying I'm doing that, then get the best deal. And in the States, you have the worst deal imaginable. The worst deal imaginable. There are guys who are, paying college tuitions to chicks, just for the possibility. Like, come on now.
Good point.
So now, here's what I would say with that.
Hold on, Auntie. Let me say this. Hold on. I'm gonna give you the mic, Auntie. My bad, bro. My bad, bro. But all right. So game changer. When you made the point about value and perceived value, absolutely correct. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's perceived value, but perceived value is value. Absolutely correct. I have no disagreement with that. And there's a perceived value in this society of vagina being of high value, right? I don't disagree with that. I agree with that. What I want males to understand is that perceived value is a deception, man. It ain't shit.
Nope.
And it ain't shit. Yes, it's for gratification, all that, right?
No sex in the champagne room.
Right. And that's why. So me coming from that standpoint, understanding that it ain't worth shit. You get what I'm saying? That's why it's just it's strange to me. It's strange to me. when you come from that perspective, understand that the real value of vagina ain't worth shit, and the amount of things that people will do for vagina, and even the examples you guys gave domestically, where these dumb motherfuckers will pay for fucking OnlyFans subscriptions and all that stupid shit, flying these
Crazy
girls
talk.
out, is that's even worse. So I'm not even disagreeing with you guys on this stuff, foolish shit that goes on here in the United States. But can we agree that that a lot of these philosophies that was made for males to progress in these spaces got hijacked by these simps who's now trying to use these philosophies or movements as a coping mechanism for their simping?
Correct.
You
I
know?
mean, but there's two groups of people who's doing it. All right, go ahead, GC. Go ahead, man.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to say this. That
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, and
that
I'm gonna, and after GC, I want to all right, go ahead, GC. You go ahead, because I know NC want to say something. Go ahead, GC. My fault,
okay.
NC. My bad.
Yeah, no worries. I do agree that the people who are bragging on it the same way that a 90s rapper would brag on, I'm Easy E, I got galore. I mean, if you come with that mentality while you're traveling, I do think that you are doing more harm than good to any movement, because you're still putting a premium on it. I definitely agree with that. And that's what you're saying, Wacky. I definitely agree with that. I don't think that a man is less than for the act of just doing that. I do think that he's pedestalizing it in a different way, not by the act of traveling for that reason or having that be his sole reason, but just pedestalizing it because he pedestalizes it. Absolutely. I'm with you 100% on that, Wacky.
I agree. Nothing else need to be said. So
Yeah.
GC, you got time today for a panel on this, or?
Well, I was about to do a panel. I was gonna talk about some nerd stuff.
Oh, okay. Right.
But if you want, I'll have an open session afterwards.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll head over there in like 30 minutes. If you want, I'll drop the link. If I see you on the thing, I'll drop the link, and then we could switch gears and talk about that.
Yeah, I could drop the link, man. But you could. GC, you are you moderator on my panel on my channel?
No,
No,
he
I'm
didn't look
not.
like he was in the chat. No, he didn't look like it was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Let me say something.
Go ahead.
No, I would just say, I'm like, so that's really all it is. Like, hey, you just pay and hopefully you get box and that's it. Them, because I'm just saying, I
that's
think
not
we've
my
all
point.
paid. I'm just saying we've all paid for dates and stuff like that, and every now and then you don't get to you know what I'm saying, you don't get to smash the chick. So I mean, that happens. Is that a total loss because you didn't pay for dinner or what I'm saying, an Uber or whatever?
In a sex worker adjacent environment, yes.
I would say okay.
If you're dealing with sex workers, I'm just saying.
No. I said sex worker adjacent. That's different.
I've done a lot of dating, and hey, every now and then you get it, and every now and then you don't. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, it depends on your outlook, Auntie. Because like earlier this month, I was in Oklahoma, right, and at a casino there, and I lost money. I lost like $20. It wasn't a lot of money. Now, my outlook is that I enjoyed the casino while I was there, and was it worth $20 to the flashing lights and all that good stuff? And maybe not. It depends on your outlook. But I didn't win, and I spent money, so it's not. Now, if there was a way to just like buy what I want, and there is, then I'll just do that. Like, I mean, it's nothing wrong with a person just buying what they want. Just like it's nothing wrong with a person gambling. Understand, Auntie, what you're doing is you're gambling for box. You're putting money in a coin-shaped slot, hoping that it pays out. That's what you're doing. That's what a lot of people do. I'm okay with them doing that. Those people should not judge for someone who just pays for the product versus paying for the opportunity to have the product. You see what I mean?
I mean, I guess. I mean, it
Giant
really
problem.
depends on, yeah. Well, I mean, what your purpose is. I think we're kind of having two different conversations. So maybe I need to back up when you talking about, dating as opposed to just, hey, just trying to get up in some box. Then I guess, hey, whatever. You're gonna put a price tag on that, you know.
What's your end
But
goal in dating?
well, look, I'm 43 years old, dog. So as far as, what I'm saying, running up and through, what I'm saying, women and all of that other stuff, like been there, done that. So I'm
Mhm,
not really trying to just get up in as much damn box as I can and
mhm.
have all these notches in the belt. Like been there, done that. That actually creates more damn stress than anything else.
Agree.
So at this
So
point now, granted,
so
hey, you'd
what is
asked me this question 15 damn years ago, you know what I'm saying? 10, 15 years ago, probably would have been a different answer.
what,
Trying to get a few
what
notches
you
in the belt. But
no, but you said what it's not. What is your end goal in dating?
no, I mean, an actual relationship, you know, that would
Hmm.
be it. So I mean, as far as what I noticed that, the whatever passport bros or whatever we're talking about, that was their goal. They going over there to find a wife. Everyone that I talk to, well, most of
Well,
them that I talk to anyway, they
God.
going over there
well,
to find a wife
just
because
like
they
just
say
like like
That's
you.
what they
Western women
claim.
are
That
not
it ain't,
wife
it ain't.
Well,
material.
hold on, Auntie. Just like you, throughout different stages of your life, we're looking for different things. Men who travel are in different stages in their life. That's why Richie Mack, who is late 40s plus, he's obviously seeking something a lot different. Men are going there for a number of different reasons. So I know what stands out on this panel the most is the ones who are going for temporary gratification. And be quite honest, if you can only afford to be in a place for a year because you're bound by whatever reason to the states, then you that's really all you have time for while you're there. But nevertheless, I mean, I don't judge why they're doing it.
Game changer. Are you talking about Richie Mack in Thailand? The brother
Yeah,
in Thailand?
yeah, I'm telling you.
Zoom to Thailand, right?
Yeah.
Word in the street is that his girl's a Smex worker. That's word in the street.
Mhm.
But that's what I'm saying is if that's true, right? Now, if that allegation is true, this is what I'm saying, man. Like these guys are going only if that allegation is true. That's an example of what I'm saying when it comes to these guys adopting this simp mentality overseas by having these relationships with Smex workers, man. But anyhow, I mean, we already spoke
Well,
about that, you know.
yeah, I mean, if he's knowingly doing that, then that is something that he needs to address. And
Yeah, that's
especially
the
if she's
word on the street that he's knowingly
well,
doing that. Go ahead.
I mean, if she's continuing to do that, and yeah, then and he's unaware, or if he is aware, then that's definitely something that he needs to take care of. But um, I never heard this rumor, and it's not really enough information on it for me to judge him. If she's doing it and she's been doing it for quite some time, and he didn't know about it, I'm not going to condemn a man for something he didn't know about.
Oh, okay. Because they're talking about it. They've been talking about it for maybe the past year and a half. And I'm not
Okay.
even I don't even consider myself to be a passport bro. And I've heard of these allegations for over almost 2 years. You know what I'm saying? But
Oh wow.
like I
I mean,
said,
I don't even know how that would
I
work, to be perfectly honest, because I
what
mean, don't she live with him and make him breakfast every morning and crap?
Oh well,
Like,
that's way different. Yeah.
shit.
well, I mean, like, I don't see where she would have the opportunity to say, okay, here's $25 and risk everything for like you know, I
Hey,
don't get that.
hey,
Like,
like I said, listen, there's examples of these things. Like for specific for him, it's been rumored for almost 2 years that this is happening, rumored, you know. But outside of that, there's also been conversations that these things are happening a lot, especially in Thailand. But yeah, uh, yeah, but
I mean, but
man,
all I'm saying is, overall, is that if you are spending anything, you better head along the path of actual execution. I don't want these people getting anything for the free. The whole society is based on these people getting everything from the free, and these women have a whole simp force of people who actually protect their ability to have free ability to do whatever they want, but then they want to turn around and restrict men from doing whatever they want. And I'm like, look, if we're not gonna be a community, if we're gonna build a whole music system based on humiliating men, guess what? your ass get to be humiliated the hell out of too. If not, you better take your ass to Walmart and start taking those albums off of them shelves. Other than that, I want them dudes to go out here and engage. Not
Yeah.
attempt, not be online trauma bonding. I'm talking about actually going out here and getting the actual experience with what you claim that you want. I do not want people complaining without engaging. I do not want people listening to live streams without engaging. I want people engaging, figuring out how it is not worth it, and moving on with your life to other things. That's
Yeah.
my point.
Okay. Yeah. And I just want to say this, right? This is not the point of my panel was not an anti-tricking panel. Because I really don't give a fuck about people who trick. If that's what you choose to do, that's your choice. I'm really indifferent when it comes to that, right? But once again,
What
don't
like your word? Oh,
go ahead.
I wanted to say something. If
Yeah,
somebody
hold on,
wants
but
to debate, okay,
let me
okay,
finish. Let me finish. I'm really
okay.
indifferent to that. So I just want people to understand that this is not an anti-tricking panel, right? This panel was only to critique how these philosophies that was created in these different red pill adjacent spaces have become female censored instead of male censored. That's really what it is. That's really what I was my whole point. I'm not against I never said anything against the art of tricking. I'm indifferent to that. But go ahead, MOT. Go ahead.
Hey,
And
that's a conversation I want to have.
okay.
I absolutely want to have that conversation, and I will have it against any single person. Person in less than 3 minutes, how you're not operating from men's interests. Fuck.
And that's my problem. That's my problem. Oh, that's my problem. You know, these philosophies were supposed to operate on men's interests, and I don't see it happening. Right? I don't see it happening as of right now. But go ahead. I mean, go
Nah,
ahead.
if I can jump in there,
Jump in, bro?
the reason why I don't think you're gonna see it is because okay, look, people can do whatever the hell they want with their money and their time. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to trick off, that's fine. But whether you're talking about the passport bros or even dudes that say that they trick off for whatever reasons that they do it, most of them are coming on here saying that the reasons why they do it is because of how women are, you know, Western women, American women, whatever. That's why they would prefer to just either pay for it or go overseas. But I'm like, at the end of the day, these are the same women that are still screwing Pookie for free. So let's keep it real as far as why, not you in particular, but why you have to pay for it. You know, let's just keep it real.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well,
You know, and
I don't
that's
go ahead.
that's not a her issue. That's likely a you issue. Either there's something you need to work on when it comes to you, or be a better damn judge of character and stop trying to screw women that sell box or women that would prefer to screw Pookie. Get,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
it's
saying? If you a
like
geek or a nerd or whatever, get with a chick that's either a geek or a nerd too, or likes geeks and nerds.
yeah, but once again, I'm speaking from the perspective of a lot of these philosophies that was supposed to be made, that was originally made in the intent of male progress, have not uh accomplished that goal. You know, because it got hijacked, in my personal opinion, by a bunch of simps who made it female censored.
Mhm.
You know, that's my issue.
Now,
Like
I
I
would
said, I
agree
don't
with
care.
that.
I don't give a damn what a motherfucker choose to do with they genitalia, whether they choose to pay for it or not. That's why I never gave a damn about Game Changers stove story. I don't care. You know, I heard about it even from Game Changers' own mouth in his own channel, right? To me, I don't give a damn about that shit, you know. But but I just want men to just have their perspectives in order. Understand whatever you choose to do with your dick, that's your problem. But understand there's more to life than what's in between the female's legs. That's really my issue.
Agree.
You get what I'm saying? That's all. But whatever you
Agree.
choose to do with these females, I don't give a fuck. You get what I'm saying? That's all. That's all.
No, I agree with
Someone,
that. I think that most people agree with that. And just like I have a complete and full life outside of everything that you know about Game Changer 00100. Just because a person talks about something, that doesn't mean that their life is centered around that particular thing. It's not.
Okay, I hope not.
In my case, I just think that we should tone down the shaming and the policing that we give Black men. I noticed, like, and this isn't just in recent times. I noticed that, like, throughout history, white guys were able to do something very similar, um, like all the time, and no one ever gave them flack about it. And as a result, they were able to progress in other ways because, they looked at that particular type of gratification as just a simple exchange, nothing more, nothing less. It's not determining. It doesn't really determine who you are. It's just something that you do. You look at back in the cowboy days where the cowboy would walk into the saloon, he'd get himself a whiskey and a burlesque girl, and then he walks out and he shoots somebody. Like, I mean, that was just like a natural part of what they did. You look at the Roman days, and they would get freaky in the Colosseum, like while the gladiators are fighting to the death. Like, that's just how they got down. Oh, by the way, the women that they were getting freaky with were slaves, so they were paid for. But it's just one of those, like, we tend to well, right quick,
as a Black different man, argument, but go ahead. It's a different argument.
What I'm saying is, okay, I'll bring it together then. We police our brothers way more than any other community, more progressive communities. I do think that really policing other men on how to get box or how they get box is putting box on a pedestal.
Well, none of that has happened on this panel, because if you actually look up the definition of policing, it's basically enforcing laws on someone. I'm not enforcing no laws on anyone. I'm just giving my observation. I'm giving my observation and my opinion about a lot of these philosophies no longer being centered around males and being centered around females. I'm not policing nobody. Once again, if I repeatedly said, Game Changer, if I repeatedly stated on this panel that I don't give a fuck about what a male does with his private parts, right? If I'm saying, hey, I don't even have a problem with males paying for it. I don't even have a problem specifically with males going overseas, right? And getting their rocks off. I'm just saying, just don't let that be the end or be all to why you're traveling. Understand that there's more to life than just that. You could do that. I don't care. Go ahead, do it. But understand that there's more to life than just that. That's all I'm saying. And that's not policing. That's not policing. Because I'm not restricting anyone from doing anything. And I don't even have the power to police anyone anyway. I don't have the power to police any one of you guys. So I can't even police. I don't have that power.
I mean, look, I'll go a step further with it. I'm not policing or anything like that. No, what I'm saying is, let's not equate it to something else. So it's kind of like what Wacky is saying. When I hear even the dudes saying that they're going overseas, just like I said a moment ago, they're saying it. Oh well, it's because it's something with the women over here. No, it's not. No, it's not, because these same women that you're talking about, whether it's over there, over here, whatever, they screwing somebody for free. So whether you want to talk about tricking, whether you want to talk about going elsewhere or whatever, you know what I'm saying? These chicks are still screwing dudes for free or right in their damn local proximity. Why are they not screwing you? That's what I'm saying. Don't put that on the women in general. It's not on them. You know what I'm saying? That's an easy scapegoat. That's an easy out. You know what I'm saying? It's easier to point fingers at somebody else rather than just look in the mirror and fix what's staring back at you, or just accept what's staring back at you. That's all I'm saying.
No, it is.
Yeah.
My bad. I got to get pushback, Auntie. It is. There is an extraordinary deficit of beauty here in the women's states, and there is an there's a relatively higher demand for less beautiful women here. There's also a general lack of appreciation and a lack of respect for the plurality of men that exists solely in the West. The women are completely different and of lower quality. There is a such thing as quality of women, and some places have higher concentration of quality women than others. Miami being, a place that has a high concentration of quality women. Mississippi is a place that has a high concentration of low quality women. The America as a country has a very high concentration of low quality women, and Black America has the lowest, possibly in the world.
Okay, so even when you talk about the quality of women, just a moment ago, y'all were talking about, hey, as long as you get the box, that's really all that matters. Whether, regardless of what quote unquote quality of women you're talking about, they all have box, right?
Not all boxes are created equal,
I'll agree with you on that. I'll agree with
and
you on that to an extent.
and and the quality of box here is ridiculously less than most anywhere in the world that I've been. It pales in comparison. Just like certain places have faster people, like Kenya have faster athletes than Iceland, you know, America has lower quality box than Kenya and Iceland. It's just what it is. Let's not pretend. So if a person wants to travel for, a higher quality of something in a place that has a higher quantity of it, nothing really with that either. It is America's culture that produces very low quality women.
All right. Yeah. But all right. So I think that, like New said on the panel, that we're having like two different conversations, right? I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but I'm just saying that it's a different conversation from what I was having. Because I'm simply just really, once again, I'm critiquing these philosophies or these doctrines that have been created online with the supposed purpose to help males, and they haven't been achieved. You know what I'm saying? So when I was talking about, traveling, males traveling for box, as far as me critiquing the passport bro, I'm just giving an example of how that movement got co-opted, you know. But I didn't expect that to be the ultimate, topic of discussion when I'm merely just critiquing or observing, or that's what critiquing is observing these the current state of these supposed male movements. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think we just got ran off course with the conversations. But you know, but I do have to leave. Yeah, we've
Yeah,
been on here for more than two
I
hours.
just fired up a stream. MOT might come through later. Y'all welcome to
Thanks for
come
having
through.
me up, Wacky.
All right,
Appreciate you, GC. Shout out to MOT and your chat
Appreciate you,
too.
Auntie.
Thanks,
all right,
fam.
all right. And thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate you guys for coming on. So much respect to you, Game Changer, Auntie, and Man of Tomorrow for coming on here. Uh, all right. So Game Changer, you could place your link because I gave you the wrench. You man, I remember you
Oh,
having a
okay.
wrench. Yeah. If you want to, it's up to you.
Actually, I
If you
don't
want to.
have the link up right now, and StreamYard messes
Okay.
up when I do it. But uh,
All right.
yeah, no, I mean, just come through. I'm Game Changer 00100.
Yeah.
The show is going to be live in a moment, in a second. It's called Everybody Hates Nerds, something to that effect. So yeah, just come through.
Oh damn. Everybody hate nerds. All right. Yeah. All right. Come through. Hold on. Let me put Game Changers link to Game Changers channel. All right. Hold on for a minute. YouTube.com. Uh, okay. So, all right. So okay, so guys, here's the link. I mean, most people on my channel are already familiar with you anyway, but just in case if there's someone who's not familiar with your channel, I just post the links in the chat to Game Changer's channel. All right. So all right,
Okay,
Game
appreciate you.
Changer. All right. Any
All right,
last
man.
words or any other thing to say?
No, great build, great build. You know, I haven't talked to you fellas in a while, and I'm glad that I seen your show was live and that I came up, and yeah.
Yeah,
So, hey, great
yeah,
build.
yeah. Great build. Yeah, great build. Appreciate you. All right, Game Changer. Have a
Huh?
great day, and I'll be tuning into your live. All right. So,
Okay,
all right, man.
all right.
All right.
Cheers.
Peace. Yeah, man. Yeah. All right, shout out to Game Changer. I think this is his first time being on my panel, but yeah, man. I think the conversation got off track, you know, because I know Game Changer. He professes to be a member of the Passport Bro movement. He does travel and stuff like that. You know, shout outs to him. Uh, yeah, the conversation went off track because I'm just merely critiquing the current state of these philosophies that was supposed to help males to progress in life. And I'm really disappointed how it went from being how these philosophies went from being male centered to female centered, in my personal opinion. You know, but well, this was a good convo. You know, and I made a previous live stream on the same topic, but it got fucked up because some nigga put me in a bad mood. But that's it on that. But this actually was a better conversation, way better conversation, and it put me in an even better mood. Even though the conversation got off track, but it placed me in a better mood because at the end of the day, I like Game Changer, I like Man of Tomorrow, I like Ant. All three of them are very intelligent brothers. I may not always agree with them, they may not always agree with me, but I always love when they having conversations with these brothers because they always, whether we agree or not, they always have a way of having me think on a different perspective that I haven't thought of before. You get what I'm saying? So, I like the fact that I had this redo and I had them on. I kind of feel better now. I feel better now. Even though if the conversation went on, of course, I feel better now because I like being in the presence of intelligent black men. So Game Changer, Man of Tomorrow, and T actually made me feel better, man. I feel better having a conversation with them, even though if we didn't totally agree, I still feel better. You know what I'm saying? Because prior to that, I was just in a bad mood. But I ain't gonna talk about that. Yeah. Yeah, it's what happened. It is what it is. You're right about that. It is what it is. It is what it is. You know. But yeah, JD. Yeah, the movement was co-opted, also corrupted. Yes, JD. All right, man. So I'm out of here, man. Yeah, exactly. Yes, JD Orca. Yes. You're correct about it being redirected towards a conversation about females, rather than men refocusing their attention on themselves. Exactly. But yo, guys, peace out. All right, peace out. Y'all have a great day. Peace.